Welcome.
Hey, this is Kevin Shinick, writer of Star Wars Force Collector.
I'm Cavan Scott, one of the story architects of Star Wars The High Republic.
This is Dominic Pace, who plays Gekko the Bounty Hunter from The Mandalorian.
Hi, I'm Claudia Gray. I write Star Wars books.
And you're listening.
And you are listening.
And you are listening
to Star Wars Comics and Canon. The Force is strong with this one.
And so here we are, driving home
for Christmas.
from Star Wars Celebration. I mean, to be fair, Star Wars Celebration to me is more exciting than Christmas. I got a lot of gifts at Christmas, to be fair. But I think like these goods, it's a lot of gift giving, a lot of things for me that both are physical things and also a lot of stuff that's not physical, like news and just experiences and stuff. But we're at the end, friends. We're at the end of Star Wars Celebration. We're driving home. Well, Megan's driving home. We were originally going to stay in the accommodation tonight, but we got back so early, and we said in kind of the last podcast, we got back at a really good time to the accommodation. Our neighbours kind of loud, and also we just want to be home. We want to see Willow and Steve in our beds, and then wake up tomorrow morning like refreshed, rather
and have the whole day.
Yeah, rather than having to like travel tomorrow as well. Just want to bosh it out.
And without like jinxing it, so far we've hit no traffic. I feel like if we left tomorrow morning, we would hit quite a lot.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, it's the end of Star Wars Celebration. There was a lot of cool things. So we went into the Bad Batch panel. We got into that. We got to Star Wars Celebration very early, so we'd get into this.
We got there disgustingly early. We got there before they even opened up this morning. We got there at 10 to 8.
Yeah, which is mental. And we got into the Bad Batch panel. That was amazing. We got to hear from D. Bradley Baker, who voices all the clones and does a lot of voice work for Star Wars Animation.
And it was really cool because every so often he would switch into different characters. Yeah. So he would switch into Wrecker and switch into Tech and Hunter and
Crosshair.
I always want to say Hawkeye, and I know that's not right.
And also the person who plays Omega, which I think is Michelle Ang, I think is her name. Apologies for anyone, we're in the car, so apologies if I miss seeing people's names wrong. And then there was like Brad Rao, and then Jen something or other, and then another person. But those three people that I just mentioned, they're all like behind the scenes people.
Yeah, that's to do with the production of it.
Yeah, which I don't know the names of production designers and those sort of things, as well as I know actors, unfortunately. Well, I think most people are kind of like that. It's much easier. So, they were all really cool. It was a really fun panel. It was good to hear from them and the kind of some of the things they planned along the way, and that was great. And then at the end, and you can see how like emotional they were getting about certain elements, because I won't spoil what happened, but there's a certain bad thing that happens in the end of Series 2 of The Bad Batch, and then when they were talking about it, they were getting emotional about it.
Yeah.
And it was an emotional thing. And they've announced that there's one more series of Bad Batch, and it's going to be the final season.
Third and final series. And we got to see little snippets of it.
Yeah, which are really
cool. We got
cool.
to watch the the sneak peeks twice.
Yeah, they played it once, and then we were at the Galaxy stage. There's the three stages. Celebration's kind of the main one. Galaxy's on the second in command, and the Twin Suns is like the third one. And the Galaxy stage, there's an MC there. There's an MC at all the stages, but the MC at the Galaxy stage is a guy called Aussie Dave, and he's really enthusiastic and he's quite fun. And it finished the sneak peek, and then he was like, "Do you guys want to see it again?" And everyone's like, yes! He was like, let's do it again! So it was really cool to get to watch it twice in a row, because he was like, when you see a sneak peek, there's certain things, because everyone's like cheering at certain points of the sneak peek over parts of dialogue, but understandably because people are so excited.
And I had a tall guy in front of me, so I couldn't see the screen properly.
Yeah, so we had to like tilt our heads.
So I was really glad that they played it a second time, because I just completely moved.
Yeah.
Like, I felt a bit dicky because the people behind me then probably wouldn't have been able to see, but I was like, oh well, I want to see.
Yeah.
If I'm being completely honest.
But I'm really glad we got into that panel and got to see the sneak peek. That was really cool. Because Bad Batch is banging, to be fair. But that was really, really cool. Then we went...
No, then we stayed. So after the 11 a.m. panels, which is the first panel of the day, the room is supposed to be cleared so that you can get new people come in. So for the Galaxy stage and the Twin Sun stage, which are the two like additional ones,
that often stream stuff
and having it live, they clear the room, and then you can literally camp out there for the remainder of the day if you want to go and access all of the panels. But I saw some people were staying, and so for me, I don't really care. It was like the Marvel Comics Star Wars, so it was like introducing all of the new Star Wars comic books, which obviously, yes, is Mike's jam. For me, not so much, but I knew that it was something that Mike would want to go to, so we were like, okay. So then I saw that people weren't moving. We'd already kind of made our way to the exit at that point.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, people aren't moving. So then I was like, let's just go to the front. So we just walked straight to the front.
Yeah.
And then Aussie Dave, which was, the guy hosting, he was like, oh, wait, let me just check if people have to leave. And then he was like, no, you can stay. So we sat in the third row.
Yeah, and then when... Cause he
and
was
Mike was like ready to leave. And I was like, no, let's try and get to the front.
Yeah, because he was like, oh, check the numbers. Because what they don't want to do is have people stay there for the first panel. A lot of the time, because the first panel people have the reservations for and things in the lottery. And what you don't want to do is have those people get the reservation for the lottery and then the vast majority just stay there because then no one else gets to go.
Yeah, I figured that it would be fine anyway because the panel that was going on in the celebration stage was about Visions. So the second series of Visions that's coming out. And I figured that more people would probably be interested in going to see Visions as opposed to something about comic books. But yeah, we got to stay and then we got to sit on the third row, which was really nice. I mean, again, I don't really care about the comic books, but it was nice for me because I didn't have to look at the screen. I could actually look at the people speaking, whereas all other panels, apart from the really little ones, I've had to look at the screen.
Yeah.
So it was really nice being able to actually look. Like they were what? Like maybe like between 7 to 10 meters away from us. It was not far.
They were literally a stone's throw away.
Yeah, I could have thrown a bottle at them. Like, yeah.
I'm glad you didn't.
No.
That would have got us kicked out quite early. And I love all those.
I don't know why
as well.
bottle is the one that I'm thinking plastic bottle in my head,
Yeah,
not
like
a glass
not
bottle.
a glass wine bottle that knocks someone out like a little. But anyway, no bottle throwing happened. But I think it was quite fun for me as well because although I met some of these High Republic authors at the signings, and also obviously I've spoken to Cavan and Claudia on my podcast, it was cool being able to like see them in person, like up close. And I know you don't really care about comics, but because I talk about these people quite a lot, especially Cavan Scott, for me it was quite nice for you to get to see these people that mean quite a lot to me.
Yeah.
So I liked that element as well. The comic panel was fine. I posted a few things on, because they didn't say at the start you can't post anything. They didn't say you're not allowed to do anything like that, because people may notice on social media some of the things I spoke about, like in the High Republic panel, like the Vanestra Rose screenshot that's going about, they said you're not allowed to take photos of this part.
Yeah, they actively said it. They had people walking up and down the aisles to make sure people weren't taking photos or videos.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I don't want to be disrespectful. If they've asked me not to do something, I'm not going to do it.
It's also just dicky, like, why? Just follow the rules, like.
Yeah. But also, like, so there's a
good
two-prong.
soldiers follow orders.
But it's like, I didn't want to break the rules. I don't want to go against the thing people have asked us not to do.
But also, I don't want to get kicked out.
And also, yeah, it's two-pronged. But even if they...
Like, there were 3 people that got kicked out and that were banned from coming back because they got caught out videoing stuff. And it's like, why risk it? Like, what? You've paid this amount of money to come to Star Wars Celebration. Why risk it?
Yeah, and I think we said in the last podcast, I went a bit of a rant where it was like, I think it's because for likes. I think it's if you're the first person to post a picture of an exclusive scoop, loads of people will flock to your page. And that's,
yeah, well, if
that's
that's
not
the
how...
only thing that's important in your life, then you need to get a grip.
And it's like, for me, there's lots of ways I could have, like, cheaply got more followers and things. I could make, like, a lot of clickbaity thumbnails of the titles of my videos. I could make YouTube videos that were really controversial. But
You
I
could
don't...
wear a very revealing costume where your tartars are basically out.
That could happen. I personally probably that'd get me less followers. But, things like that, I could be very controversial online. But I don't... That's not what I want to grow my audience organically and slowly. I want to do it for the right reasons. I don't want to be this clickbaity person. I want people to enjoy my content because I'm genuine about it, like I am with my with the Genuine Chit-Chat podcast. So I really enjoyed the comic panel. A couple of, just very quickly, there's more Return of the Jedi 40th Anniversary Edition one-shot comics. So there was already Ewoks announced and Jabba's Palace, and there was also Empire that recently got announced, and then they also announced Rebellion, and also there's the Lando one, which has already been announced, and there's also going to be a Max Rebo comic, which is really exciting for me.
People did get really excited about the Max Rebo one.
And I also bought a Max Rebo t-shirt at Celebration, so that's fun. And so there are a couple of comic reveals. They had a lot of like cover reveals, which I'm not as interested by, but it was kind of cool to see.
It's funny because on the first day that we were there, we went to the Italian panel where there was like the people that were talking about the comic books and the people that are Italian that...
Librian comics, they're called.
Yeah, but they were talking about all of the different Italian artists, and they were going fucking nuts when they mentioned the Italian artists. They were like sat near us, like on our row. So that was really funny.
They were like shouting and stuff, which is fair because,
they were getting so excited.
Really interesting stuff. But We saw some quite cool comic panels, and again, you're not that fussed about comics, but the panels, some of the artwork was incredible.
Oh yeah. Like I admire the artwork in a lot of them. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, which is completely fair. I think one day I'll try and get you to read a couple.
I'll
of comics.
probably read the Ewok one that's coming out.
Yeah, and see how that is, and that's why
I do have my Witcher graphic novel. I've just not read it yet.
Yeah. You are more of a book person than a comic person. To be fair, I used to be as well. Now I'm kind of in the middle, but.
Woo! Sign for Southampton!
Yeah. But yeah, so that was a cool, fun panel. I'm trying to think if there's any other exclusives. There's a lot of like exclusive variants. Oh, there was announced one of the last things that was announced. It was I think it was Charles Soule has got something coming out. I am stalling because I can't actually remember, so I'm trying to get the photos up. But once again, if you go on my Instagram or Twitter, you'll be able to see some of these photos I posted. There is Dark Droids, so it's a comic crossover. Yeah. So anyone obviously who listens to Star Wars Comics in Canon will know I've been doing all the crossovers, so that it was War of the Bounty Hunters, Crimson Reign, and Hidden Empire, which were like the Kira trilogy, and that was where Dr. Aphra, the main Star Wars run, Darth Vader, and Bounty Hunters were all crossing over at various points to make like this big whole story where each comic affected other ones and things. And then Dark Droids is the new one, and Star Wars Revelations, which is a one-shot comic I tackled a little while ago, which was by Mark Guggenheim, who was also on the panel. That was like showing like snippets of what's to come in the Star Wars comic realm, and there was a lot of hints about Ajax Sigma, basically just droids who go against their masters. Like Charles Soule's pitch for it, he was like all of us rely on our smartphones and electronics in our life, but imagine if your smartphone wanted to eat you. That's what this comic's like.
Yeah, and imagine that all of your smartphones at the moment are all communicating with each other, all talking to each other about how much they hate you, and they want to get you.
And then they all one day just kind of turn, in a sense. That's kind of the idea and the premise behind it, which I really like. My only critique of it is that already there have been like 35 odd comics from Star Wars, as well as like 30 odd comics in Dr. Aphra, 35 in Darth Vader, and 35 in Bounty Hunters, all set between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. There's only a year between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back there's 3 years, but there was about 75 comics from Star Wars. And so it's a bit like, I have a feeling at number 50 is probably where these runs are going to end, but I'm just like, how you're cramming a lot before Return of the Jedi, like a lot in, and I'm sure the story is going to be great and it's going to be a lot of fun. And obviously everyone knows that if you're reading the Star Wars comic, Luke isn't going to die. We all know how Luke dies, we know how Vader dies, we know how Leia and Han and things all die. So
what do you mean they all die?
Lol. So we know that does take out some of the tension from it, but aside from that, and the kind of, it feels like they're cramming a lot into this 1 year, I can kind of hand wave that away, because certain comics is like 3 comics will happen and it might be just one day, so I can get over that. But it was just a little thing, another pre-Return of the Jedi stuff. I want some post-Return of the Jedi stuff, ideally, but I think they're holding that quite close to their chest at the moment, those kind of things. But the Dark Droid stuff I thought was really interesting. That was quite cool, and thanks to Megan, we got really, really close, which I'm really, really chuffed about.
I will say, right, the seats in the Galaxy stage were so disgustingly uncomfortable.
They're not folding chairs.
They were those shit
like
folding chairs that like your nan would have for extra guests at the dinner table. They were, like shitty fold-out chairs from schools. They were god awful. Like,
pretty uncomfortable.
I mean, I suggested to Mike that we just stay there, because once we got those seats, we could have just stayed there for the whole time. But like after that second panel, I was like, nah, I need to get out. Like I can't stay in this seat any longer. Like my bum was dead.
Because we've been sat there for that. By the end of the panel, we'd been there for 2.5 hours or so?
Nearly 3, I think, at that point.
And we both needed a wee as well. I don't want to stretch my legs. And we want to check the shop floor to see if there's any last minute merch you want to buy and things.
But to be honest, obviously we'll go into this in a little bit more detail in a moment, but it actually worked out for the best that we didn't stay there. So.
Yeah, it did. But also, shout out to... their Twitter handle is MCU Waititi, as in Taika Waititi's surname. MCU Waititi, their name is Hayden, and Hayden is the basically creator of Valance Nation, #Valance Nation, which is all about Baylor Valance. And anyone knows that I love Baylor Valance, one of my favourite characters, and myself and Hayden connected on Twitter after I spoke with Claudia from RuPaul's Pod Race. And like, Hayden is the biggest Valance fan, and I've finally managed to meet Hayden, because Hayden's from the States and things, and shout out to Liv as well, who's one of Hayden's friends I've connected with as well. Both of them are from the States, and obviously they came over to Star Wars Celebration in the UK, and Hayden was doing Baylor Valance cosplay, and there's so few of that. There was someone else who was in their sort of group who did it, I think yesterday, but Valance is such a small-time character that barely anyone knows about, and it's just so cool. When I met Hayden in person and we had a little chat and things, we were both just so excited to meet each other, of such passionate, positive Star Wars fans about this silly little cyborg character. I mean, he's not silly little, he's really cool and powerful, but it was just really, really nice, and I liked that, and it's nice just meeting so many people, because every day I think I've kind of made a friend from Star Wars Celebration, which is something I didn't expect.
Yeah.
And it's so nice, and it really shows that the Star Wars community isn't all toxic, right-leaning white guys who are assholes who hate anything progressive and just shit on the sequel trilogies and think that because a couple of them are kind of weak.
Not only shit on the sequel trilogies, but loads of people shit on the prequels as well, don't they?
Yeah, but
less so now. There's been a resurgence of the prequels.
Yeah, mainly our generation, because our generation grew up with the prequels, so we don't find the cringiness of, say, Jar Jar and things like that as bad.
Ain't nothing wrong with Jar Jar. Darth Thinkers.
Yep. But yeah, so it's just so great to meet these people at Star Wars Celebration. And obviously Star Wars Celebration in itself is called Star Wars Celebration. It's all about the positivity in Star Wars. It's all about these things that are great about Star Wars. And that's the part of Star Wars I love. You can critique Star Wars. Every Star Wars film is flawed, be it original trilogy, any of the sequels or prequels, any of the shows. I'd say the closest to a flawless show is Andor, but it still has its faults. As much as I think Rebels is the best show, it does have its flaws, but it's fine to be critical of Star Wars. It's just don't be a dick about it, and don't be hateful towards the creators. If you don't like a character in a film, don't go after the actor. That's not fair. That's what happened to Hayden Christensen. And Hayden Christensen today at Star Wars Live, he was getting so many cheers and so much love. Yesterday. He was getting so much love on stage. He teared up and got really emotional, and it's because he was hated. He was
he did last year as well, didn't he? Because we watched Star Wars Celebration clips on YouTube, and last year he got teary on the stage as well.
Yeah, and that was people welcoming back before Kenobi came out, and then after Kenobi came out, everyone loved his performance so much in it, and so it was just so great. The positivity that Star Wars can bring, that's what I like focusing on. So speaking with people like Hayden and Liv, and I'll put links to their Twitter in their respective Twitters in the show notes, but they were just such lovely people, and it's so nice to be able to meet internet friends in real life. It's just something that doesn't really happen very often. So a really great panel. Thanks to Megan again for making us stay and not having to queue all the way up again, and we got really, really great seats. And then we went for a little wander, and then Megan got a pin badge, a Bo-Katan pin badge.
I did get a Bo-Katan pin badge,
which is great.
You zapped me.
Yep, there's a couple of pictures again. Check Instagram and Twitter, and I think I'll put them on Facebook as well. But they've got this cool lightning-y thing, and it's meant to be Palpatine electrocuting someone.
And then you press a pedal with your foot, and then it lights up and makes noises, so it looks like and sounds like that you're producing the lightning.
Yeah, which is really cool. So we got a fun little photo of that, of us shocking each other. I got a comic that I've been wanting to get all weekend, but the queue for the Forbidden Planet stall has been so long every day, I've just not really had the time, and it's the Dark Horse Hyperspace Jackson Annual. It costs 20 quid, which, for anyone who doesn't collect comics, most comics cost between £3 and £5, maybe a bigger one, 6 or 7 quid. And the variant covers that you can get, they normally cost 6 or 7 quid. Some of the more expensive ones, 15 quid. 20 quid is a fairly expensive variant cover, but you can
get... how much the one I thought you was.
But you can get more expensive ones than that. You can get ridiculously expensive variant covers. But generally speaking, and this was 20 quid, but you could only get it at Celebration. I'm really chuffed to get it.
I bought a recipe book.
Yep, Megan got another recipe book, so that's your second.
It's specifically desserts, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the Star Wars universe.
Because shout out to...
one of the desserts is Rancor claws.
Yeah, we were made out pastry and stuff, which is really cool. And some Cloud City marshmallows. It got glue in it, which is fun. But
and there was the blue milk sandwich biscuits or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait to try all those things. But shout out to Tony Farina of Comics in Motion, of Indie Comic Spotlight, one of the nicest people ever. He, for Megan's birthday last year,
it was a couple of years ago now.
Oh, a couple of years. Oh, time is relative, who knows? But he ordered a Galaxy's Edge cookbook for Megan on Amazon and got it delivered to us as
and
a
what
surprise.
was really cool as well is when we were there, at Star Wars Celebration, they obviously were selling that cookbook, and I was like, oh, I've already got it. Cool. We walked past one of the stalls that was selling it, and they had it open on a page of a recipe that I had actually cooked.
Yeah, because
I've cooked maybe like 3 or 4 things from
Yeah.
the recipe book, and just by chance, one of the things that they had open and display is one of the recipes that I've actually made, which I thought was great.
Yeah, it was lots of fun. So yeah, we got that, and then I think after that, because that took up, all those things took up quite a lot of the day.
I was flagging as well at this point. So I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
We had a tiny little coffee in the accommodation. I wanted a coffee. But we decided that we would just get a coffee on the way home. But actually, I've managed to so far be fine. We've got less than an hour left, so I'll be fine to get home from now. So I didn't end up having a coffee.
Yeah,
but I was really, really fucking struggling after those 2 panels. I was knackered.
Yeah, it was, and I've been really tired as well. And obviously, you are enthusiastic about Star Wars, but I'm obviously way more enthusiastic about it. And even me, I'm like, I am getting quite tired now. So the last part of the day, because on Monday, today, the last day of celebration, it closes 2 hours earlier. So Friday to Sunday, it closed at 7, whereas today it closed at 5. So the closing celebration thing, the closing ceremony,
that's what we
was
did.
At 4. So we went to the Twin Suns.
Yeah,
stage.
so I decided. I didn't decide. I suggested it to Mike. I was like, what?
I was just saying, what the fuck is that car doing?
I know that car's being nuts, but you made me lose my train of thought
I'm really
by
sorry.
doing your finger waggle.
Sorry, there's one car that's a yellow car.
There's a yellow car that keeps swerving in between the left and the middle lane, and I don't really understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to go fast, go in the fast lane. Like, I'm going to go in the fast lane, so I feel like he's going to just do the same thing again.
But you were saying about the Twin Suns stage.
Yeah, so we decided that we were going to go and watch the final thing, because to be honest, we were umming and ahhing as to whether we were going to stay till the end or if we were just going to go home. But we were like, no, we'll stay. I suggested that we go check out the Twin Suns queue to see what it was like to actually get into it. Because the Galaxy stage is quite... So Celebration stage is the biggest one, and there's just kind of no point really trying to get into there, because that's the one everyone wants to go to. Galaxy stage we'd been to this morning, and it is also a lot bigger than the Twin Sun stage, but that's the one that has the god-awful uncomfortable seats.
Yeah.
My reasoning was Twin Sun stage is the lesser one. It's not as big, so people are less likely to want to go there. The other thing as well is in the Celebration stage, the panel before was one that's like looking at the clothing in Andor and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the one that was in the Twin Sun stage was about minifigures, and in my head I was like, more people are going to go to the Obi-Wan one and then stay there and keep the seats than go to the one about minifigures.
And you were correct.
And I was 100% correct.
We were waiting in the Twin Suns queue, and then we
got let in, and there was basically no one there. Again, we managed to get 4 rows from the front.
Yeah.
The other good thing about the Twin Sun stage, aside from the fact that it's slightly smaller, the seats are actually comfortable, because they're like conference room seats that have like a nice spongy seat. Yeah. And it's right near the exit that goes towards the train station, whereas the Celebration stage and the Galaxy stage are literally on the other side of the XL building, and it takes like a good 10 minutes to walk like across, especially with all the people. So I was like, right, I think we should do that, because A, it's comfortable, B, I think there'll be less people, and C, I think we'll actually get out faster. And
also we got at the Twin Sun stage.
Yeah.
When we went there on the first day of celebration, you got a sticker.
Yeah, I got a free sticker because I was very enthusiastic.
Yeah, and then this time they were giving out posters, pins, and Funko
Which
Pops.
they weren't doing at the Galaxy stage.
No, they were not. So I got a free poster, which is really cool. And it's not.
It is a really cool poster.
It's not really a Star Wars one. I think we might frame it. It might be nice to go to like the bathroom or downstairs somewhere, because it's quite psychedelic.
No. Yeah.
It's quite like a nice it says,
maybe in the extension once we've painted those mushrooms on.
That's a very good shout. Very good shout. Yeah, it's very, very colourful, and I think it says like Gaia on it. I think it's maybe like Mother Gaia, and it's really, really colourful and psychedelic. It's a very cool poster.
The character itself looks a bit like a Twi'lek.
Yeah, like a Twi'lek mixed with kind of like a
Twi'lek on acid.
Yeah, basically. So it was a really cool poster. I wasn't expecting that, and they were doing like questions. They were playing like Star Wars music and saying name what the Star Wars
they were
music
playing.
was.
Yeah, you had to try and name the Star Wars music, and you could win a Funko Pop of the Frog Lady from Series 2 of Mandalorian.
They gave her like 12 or 15.
And I really, really wanted to win one. Mike put his hand up a couple of times. I was like, win me the Froggaloo, but we didn't get one and it was fine.
No.
Oh, but there was a cute little kid next to Mike and he'd made his own Star Wars Celebration badges and he handed Mike one and I put it onto my lanyard and I was like, thank you so much. It's like he's hand-drawn Grogu and he's like obviously put it onto a computer with like word art and has gone like Star Wars Celebration 2023 Europe, and then he's put it onto a badge. He had like a whole little like bum bag of badges that he was handing out to people, bless him, and I put it on my lanyard with all of my other pin badges and stuff, and he seemed really, really happy, and his dad like was really appreciative. When we left I said thank you again and he was like, may the force be with you. I was like, yeah, thanks, you too.
It was such a cute little thing, like
Oh,
seeing kids enthusiastic about Star Wars in the right ways just warms my heart. And like again, you can see that picture on social media. I posted that of our like final, like each day of Star Wars Celebration. I've been posting pictures and stuff, but also and updates of cool new announcements. But also at the end of each day, pictures of the merch that we got, you know. And so I posted a picture of that so you can see that. But also the celebration at the closing ceremony. I was actually quite emotional.
I'm glad we stayed for it.
Yeah.
It was only like 20-25 minutes long, so we did queue, like we sat in the queue for like 45 minutes, but I was sat down, it was fine, it wasn't a problem.
Yeah. It was a really cool thing. It was like a wrap
nice.
up. It was like they had like footage from across the whole celebration. Some of the people that we've either seen or had photographs with were actually in this montage thing. So it was like a 20-minute or so montage.
And there were bits where we were there. Like there was a bit where they were doing all the High Republic like cosplay outside and they'd recorded it and Mike and I were literally on the other side of the camera. In fact, one of the people got interviewed from the High Republic and I deliberately went past the camera and looked at the camera so that I would be in it. So part of me was like, maybe I might be in it, but I wasn't.
But it was really cool because there was like bits where they were like, it was things like you get a little mini Andor wrap up and it just showed little snippets of some of the Andor panels and things, and then some of the cosplayers of Andor, and then the thing that we mentioned I think in one of the previous episodes, which was when there were the prisoners of Narkina 5 running through Celebration.
Way out.
Yeah, like 100 plus people wearing the Narkina 5 outfits yelling that, and then it was like Mandalorian stuff and like people who attended the Lucasfilm panel got to watch.
Ahsokas.
Yeah, got to watch like the Mandalorian latest episode like a few days early before everyone else, and then it showed loads of the people who were doing Mandalorian cosplay, loads of cool stuff. So it's a really fun, nice wrap up, and some of the panels that we somewhat missed, that we knew what happened in them because of the internet, but it showed you some of the highlights of that. So that was quite nice, and they even said like before they played the closing ceremony video thing, they literally said, look, Star Wars Celebration is about community, it's about family, it's about enjoying yourselves and things, but also you can't attend every panel. You can't see everything. You can't do it all. It's just not possible.
Well, I mean, things clash.
Exactly.
Like
and we saw loads of
Star Wars, like, drag in Star Wars clashed with the High Republic, so...
Yeah.
You know.
Lots of the other things we got to do, like the teaching one you wanted to see, and you know,
the teaching one clashed with the like Disney Parks one, like, you know, it is what it is.
And we would have liked to have seen the Disney Parks one, but
that was on the Celebration station. We knew that it would be busy.
Yeah, but we wanted to see the teacher thing, and we're so glad we did. It was so amazing, connecting with so many cool people. So it was really great. It was a really great end of the day. It was. My favourite day is still the Saturday. The High Republic stuff was incredible, and that was so much fun. But all of the days are really, really good.
It's difficult for me to say which day was my favourite. I don't know. It probably Saturday, but like it's all kind of just merged into one. But like I kind of want to say thanks to you, to be honest, Mike, because like it's not really an experience that I would have had. And like as much as I joke that I'm like, oh, Mike's banging on about Star Wars again, like I genuinely love the franchise, and it's like nice kind of seeing that come to fruition. Is that the right term? Fruition. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I was going to my sort of thing. Obviously, I loved this. You know, I went to Star Wars Celebration 7 years ago, but I only went for one day, and that was before I really got into reading all the Star Wars stuff. That was when I was just mainly into the games. The new canon was quite, 7 years ago. That was 2016. So that was only after, I think, The Force Awakens came out, and then I don't think even Rogue One had come out at that point. So it was all very new and fresh. I hadn't really started reading the books at that point. I played some of the games. I knew a little bit about Legends, but like I was just not to be derogatory to any listeners, but like a normie Star Wars fan. I just watched the movies and I watched some of the series, and that was it. and a few games. That was all I did. And obviously now I read every single comic, almost every single comic, every single piece of High Republic content. I try and play all the games. I like consume as much Star Wars content as I can. And obviously got the podcast and interview people, blah blah. But like the one day I went before, I didn't really have much money either. And the only real critique I'd say of the two critiques of Star Wars Celebration is some elements of the communication organisation from the crew was not the best, which...
Although, on jumping off of that, I will say there are certain elements that they obviously saw that they had done things wrong.
Yeah. And
they had changed it throughout the week, which they'd learned from some of the mistakes, which I did appreciate.
It definitely got better.
Yeah, but there was definitely a lack of communication in some respects. Oh, there was nearly a fucking uproar.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my lord. So we were queuing up for... we were queuing up to get into the Bad Batch, and Mike and I were in the first queue, like queue number 1 to get in. They'd created like an overflow area, which was the accessibility lane, but there were hardly any people using the accessibility lane. They like closed down one of them and turned it in. They'd already gone in, and they turned the other ones into just extra standby. And they accidentally started letting people in from... Basically, there were like 12 different rows of people that needed to go in, and they started letting people out from rows 12 and 11, and we were in row 1.
Yep.
And we went fucking ballistic.
Me and Megan both immediately yelled. Megan yelled first. I was like,
I'm not having this.
So
I did not wake up at 6 o'clock this morning and get here at 10 to 8 for these dickheads to get in before me. I was like, absolutely
when they woke
not.
up like 5 minutes before the panel started.
No, and they know full well that they're in the final queue. I was like, absolutely not. Then we were going in and I was like, that is ridiculous. And I was like, that is some bullshit. And then people in row like 2 were like, we're so glad that you said something. They were like, we could hear you out of most people, like calling them out on it and yelling. And they were like, we're so thankful that you did that. And I was like, yeah, I'm not getting here this early to then have people get in front of me. I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah, this is Britain, okay? We queue properly in Britain, okay? In Britain.
Like, we were the people that were joining, people were joining the back of our queue, and I was like, I think you'll find the queues down there.
Yeah.
Like, we were turning people away from our queue.
Yeah, it's like, hey, it's like
no.
People who got here early deserve to get in first.
Yeah, it's just fair.
Queuing is fair and important, you know? First come, first serve. Very, very simple premise. And yeah, Megan yelled, and fortunately, one of the crew member guys, who was lovely.
He was bae, he was great.
Funny, he was kind, he was checking on people.
He's the one that managed to call out and stop them from getting in.
The majority of them.
The majority.
He saw it, and he's a bigger guy. He ran straight over there and managed to stop the majority of them going in. And being, no, you guys do not get in first. You guys are lucky if you get in, basically.
Yeah, basically these are the last 2 queues. Like, the probability of them getting in was like less than 10% of being able to get in. The queues that we were in were guaranteed to get in, and I was like, I am not missing out on going to see this because someone's made a mistake and these people have just done it. Like, they knew, like, one of the guys, as we were walking past, he was like, oh, are we in the final queue? And I was like, you know you're in the final queue because I literally heard you have a conversation with the steward about how you're in the final queue. I was like, don't play dumb. You know that, idiot.
Yeah, and there were people trying to be cheeky and trying to play off dumb and get into, like, the big queue, which was quite annoying, but that's just... You know, even in a convention full of people trying to be positive...
Idiot is a mean word. I don't like, but you know what I
don't think they're stupid. I think they're
not stupid. They're
being dicky. They just think, hey, I got here late, but I want to see this panel more than I feel like anyone else wants to see the panel.
It's just self-entitlement.
Me wanting something a lot means that I should get it. It's like, no, that's not how the world works, I'm afraid. It was like when we were queuing for Ahsoka, there was someone we were chatting with in the queue, we spoke about it yesterday, but he was like, oh, but I'm just such a big Ahsoka fan. It's like... Almost everyone at Celebration is a big Ahsoka fan.
He started creeping in the queue in front of us, and I was like...
There's a panel we didn't get in anyway.
We didn't get into, and we actually ended up talking to someone today, and he managed to get into it, but that's because they had been told to go, and he managed to, essentially get in the last seat because he was by himself. So we made the right decision yesterday.
Yeah.
Rather Saturday. But yeah, there was a guy in that queue that was creeping in front of us, and I was like, well, yeah, but if we actually start to get in, you need to go behind us because you were in the queue behind us. And he was like, yeah, but I'm just such a big Ahsoka fan. And I was like, yeah, that's great, but we were here before you.
And I was like, I'm being honest with you, Josh, like, if you do try and push in front of us, I will push you back. Like, I'm like, a joke's a joke, but I'm telling you right now, you are not getting in front of us. Yeah. Like, I'm not one for violence. I'm generally quite chill about stuff, but fair is fair, and I will put my foot down if I have to. Okay, it's not if I'm in a bar and someone pushes in front of me, it's like fuck's sake. But I'll just live with that. But if we're queuing at a panel and there's a chance I won't get to see something,
especially when we've gotten up early. Like I know everyone's gotten up early, but yeah, that was just something we forgot to mention.
Yeah,
but there was nearly a
riot.
There was nearly a riot.
Yeah,
caused by me. I was like, "Oi!
Let's get him! One way out." But yeah, so obviously I would wrap up with celebration and things. I'd say, you know.
Oh wait, no. But we were right about going to the 2 Sun stage because at the end we got out so goddamn quickly.
Yeah, we literally.
Mike reckons that we would have been stuck there for at least another half an hour to an hour, and I completely agree. We got out so fast because it's close to the exit and it's one of the smaller ones. There were less people. We were right near the exit, as opposed to having to traipse across. I mean, the celebration in itself holds 4,500 people.
Yeah, and I think Galaxy is
maybe 2.5. So if we'd gone to the Galaxy stage, we'd then be trampling through around 2,500 people. Whereas I think the Twin Suns room probably holds about 500 to 1,000, maybe.
Yeah.
So like considerably less people near the exit, not having to traipse through the XL.
Plus all the other people who were going to all the going to the vendors and the shops and things while everyone else was seeing the closing ceremony.
Yeah.
So it was like you get out of the XL Centre and it leads like straight onto the station the nearest station to go anywhere.
Yeah, custom house.
Yeah, so like everyone who was leaving Star Celebration, like a huge amount of them were getting onto the train. So like when
to put it into perspective, each day that we've gone there so far, like people who work for the train line have like blocked off the entry and let you in gradually.
Yeah.
Today was the first day that we just walked straight onto the platform.
Yeah, and then once we got down to the platform, we could see up there.
And then we could see they were stopping it, so we got there just in time.
Like I legitimately think we got back to our accommodation before a lot of people even got on the train.
Well, we were back at the accommodation by 5:30? Not even that. I think that's when we left.
Yeah. So it was like we got in from
maybe around 5 o'clock. We got back to the accommodation.
From celebration, like the closing ceremony finishing, to us getting to the accommodation was like 45 minutes or something.
Less than that.
And it was like genuinely, if you think about like a train, the capacity, like the train doors open, they've got about 30 seconds, if that, for people to get on the train, and then the doors close and it goes off, and then every 5 minutes or so is another train. But like only a couple hundred people, if that, can really get on each train. So you're thinking a couple of hundred every like couple of minutes or every 5 minutes, but having minimum 5,000 people, probably nearer 10,000 people.
Well, again, 4,500 people. Well, obviously not everyone's getting.
Well, that's what I mean. But like you just think just general maths. If you think 100 people every 5 minutes, 500 people is like 25 minutes. You know, so I think it's probably a bit more than that. But still, so you're thinking like Megan just made such a good shout of us going to the Twin Sun stage. So it was like it was really, really great. So to kind of wrap up celebration, I'd say I'd really recommend it to people. The next one's in 2 years' time, so 2025.
Yeah, Japan.
And it's in Japan. Which we will not be going to.
And it's on my birthday.
Yeah, we're not unless we somehow like win the lottery or one of you lovely Patreon supporters.
Wait, next year? Oh no, I'm 30 next year. I was like, we could go as my 30th.
No, we're going to America. We're going to America next year to meet a lot of our other friends in person, and we've got a few other secret plans that we'll get into in the future. But we basically like if we were going to go to Japan, like we would go to Japan properly. We could not warrant affording.
No, I'm only
going
joking.
To Japan.
I'm only joking when we're talking about going.
Could not warrant going to Japan for Star Celebration. So, and I imagine the year after or 2 years after that, it'll probably be in America. So it's probably not going to be in England or Europe again for, optimistically, another 5 or 6 years.
Well, I mean,
most likely another 10.
Well, if it was 7 years ago the last time it was here, so
yeah, but obviously COVID made it not for 2 years, so minimum 5 years, might be 10 years, who knows. So it's going to be a long time before we get to go to Celebration again, because we can't warrant going to America and go to Celebration just for that. It's not.
Well, no, this is the thing.
If we came into a lot of money, if we won the lottery, or if any of our Patreon supporters, there was a joke Patreon post that we made, which was just a ramble thing off at the end of a movie review that I released as its own thing, that I might release just for free as like a little jokey thing, which was, what if we did a Patreon supporter who gave us, did we say like £1,000 a month?
Is this the one where I said that I'd bake them a cake?
Yeah, it was either like £1,000 a month or like $10,000.
I said that I would do my own afterthoughts.
Your own podcast,
and you'd write them a song. Podcast, and I'd write you a song.
And
if
you'd
you want to
make them cakes.
Right, guys. Japan Star Wars Celebration is 2025. It's literally on my birthday.
Yeah.
pay for us to go. It could be my birthday present. Thanks, everyone.
I mean, it would cost a lot. I have a suspicion, like,
I'm only
costing up America, like that would cost us, I think, but for us both to go to America, probably about $6-ish grand for a month. To go to Star Wars Celebration in Japan, we'd have to be there. Star Wars Celebration would take up like 4 days.
If I was going to go
to go there,
yeah. If I was going to go to a brand new country like that, like it's one thing if it was in like we keep mentioning Germany. If it was in Germany, I would consider it because then you can extend that slightly.
Yeah.
And it's not that far to travel, I would not travel halfway across the world or however far Japan is just for a Star Wars.
No, we would go there for a full 3
I would want to go there for a good
month or something like that.
exactly.
So like, if anyone's listening and you guys love this Star Wars Celebration coverage so much, you want us to go to Celebration, go over to patreon.com/Genuine Chit-Chat, support the show. I think the highest tier I have is £10, but you can do your own custom tier. If there's any millionaires listening and
you want me to bake you a cake,
who want Megan to write them a song, bake them a cake, do a solo podcast for them, and get all the additional stuff you get with an Afterthoughts, with Patreon supporting, Afterthoughts, audio content, exclusive stuff. If you have thousands of pounds spare, or if you collect loads and loads of your friends and you'll support us on Patreon for like quite a good amount a month, if we can make several thousand,
Just Giving page.
No, just become Patreon supporters, friends. If we can generate in 2 years $6 grand in Patreon money in 2 years, we will go to Star Wars Celebration in Japan. But I'll
book the accommodation now on booking.com, free cancellation, because that's what I did for this one. As soon as we found out that Star Wars Celebration was in London, I booked accommodation straight away.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to book this now, and if we get tickets, we get tickets. If we don't, then I can just cancel the accommodation, but I literally booked it instantly.
Yeah.
I remember so it was just after we bought the house, we were decorating it. I was at IKEA car park when Mike told me, and I was like, right, while I'm waiting for my mum to come and pick me up, let's book accommodation for Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah. To clarify on that story, it's because Megan and Sue, because they're buying stuff for the house and there was too much to fit in the car.
There was too much stuff.
So Sue had to drive home to drop off the stuff to me,
and then I had to wait with
go back and pick up Megan with the other stuff.
Yeah.
That's why, because it sounds weird you being like, oh yeah, my mum had to pick me up when we're nearly 30 and we both drive, and we're driving right now. So that's the reason why. But Star Wars Celebration, a recommendation to anyone who's thinking about going to Japan. You're probably going to have a lot of money, not going to lie. But if you're either in America for the next American one, or if you are in Japan and things, my recommendation for Star Wars Celebration, because it is an expensive convention, is go for, I'd say, at least 2 days if you can.
Minimum 2 days.
Because the first day, you can't do everything you want to do, or even close.
I would say 3 days is the sweet spot, to be honest. I mean, I'm glad that we went for the full days. I enjoyed it. Having Mitchell there for the 1 day was nice as well.
Yeah.
But I think 3 days is the sweet spot, because it just means that you have enough time to do everything that you want to do. I mean, we still didn't do everything.
No, there were plenty of things.
Like there was the Funko Pop store that we didn't go to. We didn't queue up to go into the droid bit. We saw the droids.
Yeah.
From the outside, but we didn't go into the other bits. So there was some droids that we didn't see up close, but the queue was just so long.
Yeah, exactly. And there are certain panels, smaller panels that we were like, well, I'd rather go shopping, look around for the next 2 hours. I'd rather, with the conventions in general, don't fill up your schedule too much. You are going to want to have
and also
time.
Don't have the expectation that you're going to get into all of the panels, because you won't.
And don't purely rely on watching panels to be fun, because you will just be disappointed. It's one of those things. If you can get into 1 or 2 big panels, that's great, but be prepared. It's lots of queuing. You are going to have to take quite a bit of disposable income with you. I think I said in the last podcast, minimum 50 quid a day, really nearer 80 quid a day.
Well, I mean, for example, on the first day, me by myself, I spent £90.
Yeah, because a t-shirt alone is 30 quid.
Which I thought was fairly reasonable, to be fair. But
and then pin badges are about a tenner each, and then food there's 10 quid. We took our own food, but food's £10. We would recommend taking your own food.
If you can take your own food, if you ever go to a convention, I would wholeheartedly recommend it. Yeah. It just means that you can take the food that you want to eat without being restricted to what is there, but B, you save money because it's just extortionate, and then C, you're not wasting your time in queues for food.
Yeah.
On one of the days we got a Costa, and I was in that queue for at least 20-30 minutes.
Yeah, I used the opportunity to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
And I came back and you were still in the queue, and I was still waiting for you for 10 minutes. But the reason at conventions is good to have a couple days is A, getting a gist of where everything is, but also it's a lot it's a sensory overload in a lot of ways, and don't be afraid to just go find somewhere quiet to sit down.
Yeah.
Like in the Excel Centre, up where the fan stage is, and don't be afraid to look at the smaller panels. The smaller panels are banging. People put a lot of effort and passion into these panels.
And if you really enjoy the smaller panels as well, you can go up and speak to them afterwards,
And
whereas
people
with the big
appreciate
panels
it.
you can't do
People
that.
really appreciate you taking an interest in this thing they've put a lot of effort into and talking to them about it afterwards.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot of stuff that you wouldn't necessarily learn, because all the big panel stuff, it's great seeing it, but pretty much everything in the big panels gets either announced or you get to watch the video on the Star Wars YouTube channel anyway. So go to the smaller panels if you can, but also where the smaller panels are held, there's some quieter areas. Don't be afraid just to take 10-15 minutes to sit down in a quieter area, let your feet rest, have a bit of food, make sure you drink water, and just have a breather, because conventions are a lot.
It is a lot.
And this
to
is your
deal
first
with.
convention as well. So, like, what the kind of wrap-up thing I want to ask is, first of all, I think you've kind of already answered this, but are you glad you went, and how was your first experience of a convention as a whole?
Yeah, I'm glad I went, obviously. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a good experience as a whole. I think it's just there were some aspects like lack of communication and some lack of organisation with certain aspects. But I think that's just going to be the case anywhere.
We've been to gigs, it's the same.
Well, like nothing with an event that big, there's not going to be perfect. Well, I mean, nothing's perfect, but there's definitely not going to be perfection when you've got an event that big and that massive. Like, obviously, things aren't going to be spot on all the time. But I really enjoyed it. It was incredibly overwhelming to begin with, but by the end of it, I was like worming my way through people like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it is just, it's incredibly overwhelming. The one thing that I will say is that at Excel, which I didn't have to use this area, there was like a sensory area that you could go if you were getting overwhelmed. I would say that as great as that is, probably having that in a separate area would be good, because it was literally like 4 chairs. Like, in hindsight, I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. But actually thinking about it, if you're getting overloaded with sensory, having it in exactly the same room where all of the noises is probably not the best thing.
I think that was the entrance.
Oh, is that the entrance?
I
Or was there a separate little room?
I think that, but
Right,
it was
got you.
also, but to your point as well, it's like, it wasn't that clear. We only saw it on the second or
No,
third
it wasn't
day.
that clear. Like, they should have had like a sensory room in one of the spare conference rooms upstairs. If you just needed to get out of it, you can just go upstairs, because it was considerably quieter up there.
Yeah, but it's a lot, especially if you have a young kid who's not neurotypical. I mean, I'm kind of on the verge. I think I've got lots of little, certain people think I have traits of Asperger. Well, I've obviously got traits because it's a spectrum and things, but like most, I know they're not perfect, but a lot of the quizzes you can do online that are little tests, all of them say I don't have autism, I don't have ADHD, I don't have any of these mental conditions. I just have little bits from a lot of them, whereas
you've
Megan,
definitely got traits that
I'd
are
say
linked
autism.
with people that have autism.
Yeah.
100%. I am currently going through the process of trying to see if I can get diagnosed with ADHD, because I think I have it. So for me at points it was too much, if I'm being honest.
especially on the first day,
Especially on the first day.
where you've never been to a convention, because also the amount
Yeah,
of people
there
at
was
times,
so many people.
it's a lot to deal with. But also, guys, don't forget, with cosplays, ask permission to take photos. If they're posing with someone and everyone's taking photos around them, that's fine.
That's the one thing. If when we go,
Consent.
no. Well, yeah, obviously get consent from the people that are doing cosplays. That's the one thing that I would want to change if we go to another Star Wars convention, is that I would want to dress up.
Yeah.
I wish we had this time round, but it just wouldn't have worked.
I think it's better that we didn't.
I think it is as well. We
also-
had more time to just experience everything else without getting stopped.
We
and
could blend into the crowd.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do good cosplay, people are going to stop you. People are going to take photos, and that's part of it. If you cosplay, you have to expect you're going to have people wanting to interact with you. But on the other side of things, don't touch any cosplayers without their consent. Don't take photos of them without their consent unless they're already having their photo taken from other people. It's all about consent. Everything in life is about consent, you know?
But yeah, 100% want to dress up. But I like dressing up anyway. Like, I've always liked doing fancy dress.
Yeah, we do Halloween and stuff.
I'm very much excited to do that in the future, hopefully.
Yeah. I want to buy myself some Jedi robes. I want to get a lightsaber. I want to be an Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I don't know what I do.
We'll figure it out. We won't do it on this podcast. But so, final thoughts then. You're glad you went.
Yeah.
It was a good first festival experience. We had enough time to basically sample everything. But it is a costly endeavour. This cost us, for 4 days of Star Wars Celebration and accommodation and the merch that we bought and everything else that comes along with it, We spent...
Well, I mean, excluding merch and stuff, because that's kind of difficult to quantify.
No, but I'm saying, like, how much we spent is the same amount it would cost us to go on holiday to a European country.
Yeah, it is the same cost as going on an actual holiday.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get
sure.
at.
Like, I mean, yeah,
when we went to Amsterdam,
just accommodation and tickets itself came to about £500. So, like, each.
Yeah.
It is the cost of going on a holiday, but we're not doing a holiday this year because we're saving up to go to America next year. We might go away for a couple of days in the summer to like Scotland or like Wales or something as like a mini little like holiday in the UK.
With Willow and stuff.
Yeah, with Willow, but this was our big holiday of the year.
And I'd say, friends, don't, like, if you go and you can afford one of these things, try and save some money, because when you go, if you see something you like, just be like, buy that for you. Don't necessarily go overboard and get yourself into like horrendous debt for it, but like...
Yeah, like I really wanted to get a mystery box, and I know I don't need a mystery box, but they were like 50 quid, and I was like, no, I don't need it.
Yeah.
So I treated myself to a £17 cookbook instead.
Yeah.
And a couple of pin badges.
Yeah, and the pin badges are really nice.
And I already collect pin badges anyway, so...
Exactly, and it's like, if you go to these conventions, be aware that to get the most out of it, you'll probably want to spend money, because a lot of it is looking around some cool merch, and try to save some money away so that when you go, you can think, oh, I can spend £200 over this whole weekend, and you can kind of, if you see something you like, you can buy it without guilting yourself about it.
This is the thing. And also, I mean, we didn't have this problem, but don't go with the expectation that you're going to buy presents for loads of other people.
No.
Focus on yourself, don't focus on everybody else, because you're just going to spend a load of money that you don't need to spend, really.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was our celebration experience. Obviously, I had an incredible time. It was so much fun. It was everything I wanted and more. It was an absolute blast. And all the worries I had of the things that would be negative, none of that really came to fruition. We missed one panel I wanted to see, which is the Ahsoka one, but I wasn't like down in the dumps about it. I was like, that sucks a bit.
No,
But
I got to have a coffee.
yeah, exactly. And we used that time, instead of being, oh no, we didn't get to go to this panel on dwelling, we were like, okay, well, we'll use this time while the convention's quite quiet to have a look around,
And then we
to have a
queued
coffee and
up
have a breather.
in preparation for the convention that that you really, really wanted to go to. So this exceeded my expectations, I must admit. I didn't think I was going to have a bad time by any stretch of the imagination. I knew that I would enjoy it, but it was far, far greater than I could have imagined. It was great. It was really cool.
Especially lots of the little things, you know.
Yeah, and I bloody met Darth Binkus.
Yeah, Darth Jar Jar.
And today I got to see a
Nautilin.
Nautilin. I didn't get to see Kit Fisto, but I did see the same species, which
That's what you wanted.
I was really happy with, so, you know.
Yeah, we didn't get to see a photo because they walked past when we were
Yeah, we
doing
were
stuff.
in the queue, so I'm not the kind of person, I don't like leaving the queue and coming back and having people hold my space. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, unless you have to, you know.
Yeah, like I did do it in the queue today, but I got a little ticket to say that I'd left and come back, so that's fine.
Yeah, and you went to the toilet, so it's
Yeah,
not...
I just went for a wee. But, so I got to see...
It's the little things, guys.
Yeah.
Try out new things. Don't be afraid to buy yourself a little something as like a souvenir or whatever. Go to smaller panels. Make sure you ask consent for every element of the way, and just be nice to each other. You know, don't be afraid to talk to people in queues, but also don't feel like you have to.
People.
It's just a really nice, great way to be nice to people. If someone starts...
Yeah, and you might end up playing card games with people in the queue.
And learning to play Sabacc like we did.
Play Sabacc.
Yes. But friends, thank you so much for listening as always. Your support really helped me enjoy this even more, because if I hadn't started the Star Wars Comics and Canon podcast and Genuine Chit-Chat and got so many people enjoying my content and loving my Star Wars stuff especially, I don't know if I would have invested as much time into making sure I read every Star Wars comic, making sure I read every single piece of High Republic content. If I didn't have the podcast, I might have just gone, I'll pick up a couple of Star Wars books here and there. But because of your support and enjoying what I make so much, it makes me want to make more, and it pushes me to make sure I'm releasing an episode every week and things. And because of that, I consume more Star Wars. It makes me enjoy Star Wars more, and it bleeds out, and it makes Megan enjoy Star Wars more as well. So it's a really great thing. So just thank you so much as always. If you like mine and Megan's kind of conversations and you want to help support the show in any way you can share on social media, you can tell your friends about it, you can follow me at Genuine Chit-Chat on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Subscribe to my YouTube channel where all my Star Wars Comics and Canon episodes are there. They're in playlists, my Genuine Chit-Chat episodes, my conversations with Claudia Gray, Cavan Scott, Paolo Villanelli, lots of Star Warsy people, lots of non-Star Warsy people. And there's more to come in the future as well. But if you want to go above and beyond supporting the show, you can review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Good Pods. But if you want to go even above that and get one portion of my undying love, which all of you listeners get a fraction of, but if you want even more to put in your pocket, consider going to patreon.com/Genuine Chit-Chat for as little as £1 a month.
Oh my God!
£1 a month.
Just £1?
Which is literally like, if you bought a Star Wars, if you bought one pin at Star Wars Celebration, that's 10 months of Genuine Chit-Chat.
Depends on the pin.
Well, yeah, maybe it'll be even over a year of it. Of like any Funko Pops at Star Wars Celebration, £10, £15, £20, that's a year of Genuine Chit-Chat.
£600 for some
Well, yeah,
of them.
for the Thrawn exclusive
Or for
one.
some of the like old school minifigures, you could pay up to £5,000.
Yeah, we saw a figure that was $4,000,
Yeah.
which was like an original Han Solo action figure, and I was like, I don't understand that. But if you want to support the show and pay, you know, as I said, it's £1 a month. I think it's like $1.50 a month. You'll get access to currently over 160 episodes of Afterthoughts. There's Star Wars Legends book reviews on there, and loads of other cool stuff, including myself and Megan doing TV movie reviews. When we go on holiday or road trips and stuff, we often do these little reviews like we have today. Live performances like Buffy Revamped, Book of Mormon, the Bake Off musical, all kinds of stuff. So you get hours and hours and hours of additional content on a feed that you can't find anywhere else, and you support the show, and there's some bonus goodies if people want to support the show for a little bit more than that. But I'm just saying, if anyone's got a spare like £1.50 or $2 a month and you like my content, support me on Patreon will mean the absolute world to me, and you get rewarded with, at the moment, there's like, I think like over 100 hours of, like over 50 hours of content right now.
Whoa.
So, and there's more to come. Every week you get a new one. So, wow. So friends, just thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you listening. It means the absolute world to me, and I know it means a lot to Megan as well, but we just appreciate it. So thank you so much, and we'll speak to you next week, back to the usual programming. I think the next Star Wars episode I'm releasing is Battle of Jeddah, the audio drama High Republic review, and the next episode of Genuine Chit-Chat is with a gentleman called Rick Ives, who has created an independent heist movie and also works as an assistant editor at Marvel Studios. So great nerdy stuff coming your way next week. But thank you, friends. We'll talk to you soon.
And may the Force be with you.
And also with you.
You have just experienced host, creator, everything elser of Genuine Chit-Chat, and also the host and creator of Star Wars Comics and Canon, found on the Comics in Motion podcast, Mike Burton.